There's a big difference between a man who is curious about you and a man who is truly into you. Curiosity creates sparks. Real interest creates consistency. And too many women confuse chemistry for commitment. They see the compliments, the late night texts, the intense eye contact, and they assume it means something deeper. But attraction isn't about what he says in one exciting moment. It's about what he does repeatedly, calmly, and intentionally. When a man genuinely likes you, his behavior begins to align in very specific ways. He becomes more deliberate, more present, more invested. The signs aren't dramatic, they're patterned. And once you understand these patterns, you stop guessing. You stop overanalyzing. You start observing. Because when a man is truly into you, he cannot help but reveal it, not through promises, but through consistent action. If he does these 7 things, you don't need to question his interest. First, he initiates consistently. Not just when he's bored, not just late at night, he reaches out because you're on his mind. Second, he makes real plans. Vague, we should hang out sometime turns into specific days and times. Effort replaces excuses. Third, he listens and remembers. The small details you mention, he brings them up later. That's investment. Fourth, he introduces you to parts of his world, his friends, his routines, his interests. Inclusion signals seriousness. Fifth, he respects your boundaries. A man who values you doesn't rush you. He moves at a pace that feels safe. Sixth, he shows up when it matters. Not just for fun moments, but when you need support. And seventh, he talks about the future, and you're naturally in it. When these behaviors align, you're not chasing clarity. You already have it. Consistency over chemistry is one of the most misunderstood principles in dating. Chemistry feels powerful because it's emotional, immediate, and intense. It gives you butterflies. It creates excitement. It makes conversations feel effortless and electric. But chemistry, on its own, proves nothing about long-term intent. 2 people can have incredible chemistry and still be completely wrong for each other. Chemistry is a spark. Consistency is a decision. When a man is genuinely into you, his interest doesn't spike and disappear. It doesn't depend on his mood, convenience, or temporary loneliness. It shows up in patterns. He texts when he says he will. He calls when he promises to call. He follows through on plans instead of constantly rescheduling. There's a rhythm to his behavior, and that rhythm creates emotional safety. Inconsistent behavior, on the other hand, creates anxiety. One day he's fully engaged, the next day he's distant. One week he's planning dates, the next week he disappears. That emotional roller coaster can feel addictive because the highs are so high. But that intensity is often confusion disguised as passion. True interest doesn't need drama to survive. It thrives in stability. Consistency demonstrates intentionality. It shows that he isn't just responding to how he feels in a single moment. He's making a repeated choice to invest in you. Attraction can be impulsive. Consistency is deliberate. And deliberate behavior is what builds trust. This doesn't mean he has to be perfect. Life happens. People get busy. Plans occasionally change. The key difference is communication and accountability. A man who is serious doesn't leave you guessing. If something shifts, he explains it. He reassures you not through grand speeches, but through steady action. Over time, those small, reliable behaviors speak louder than any romantic declaration. Consistency also reflects emotional maturity. It signals that he understands relationships are built over time, not just sparked in a single exciting night. He knows that showing up repeatedly is what deepens connection. That means checking in, making time, following through, being present not only when things are fun, but when they are ordinary. Many people get trapped chasing chemistry because it feels rare and intoxicating. But what actually sustains a relationship is predictability in effort. When you know where you stand, you relax. You don't feel the need to overanalyze his tone, timing, or intentions. Emotional security replaces emotional chaos. If you ever feel confused about how he feels, look at the pattern, not the moment. Anyone can create a magical evening. Anyone can send a passionate message. But not everyone can maintain steady effort week after week. The man who is truly into you will not leave you living off crumbs of attention. He will create a consistent presence in your life. And when consistency replaces unpredictability, attraction deepens in a healthier way. It becomes grounded, it becomes real. Chemistry may start the connection, but consistency is what proves it. Effort is one of the clearest indicators of genuine interest, yet it's often minimized or overcomplicated. People tend to focus on words, what he says, how romantic he sounds, how strongly he expresses his feelings. But words are easy. Effort requires energy, time, planning, and intention. And people naturally invest effort into what truly matters to them. When a man is genuinely into you, he does not operate from convenience alone. He makes adjustments. He rearranges parts of his schedule. He thinks ahead. Effort means he doesn't just fit you into the leftover spaces of his life. He creates space for you. That distinction is powerful. Anyone can see you when it's easy. Real interest shows up when it requires a little inconvenience. Effort also appears in preparation. He doesn't just suggest vague plans, he chooses places, makes reservations, considers what you might enjoy. If you mentioned liking a certain type of food, he remembers and suggests a restaurant that matches it. If you told him you had an important meeting, he checks in afterward. These are not grand gestures. They are thoughtful investments. And thoughtfulness signals attention. It's important to understand that effort is not about how much money he spends. It's about how much intention he shows. A simple walk planned with care can carry more meaning than an expensive dinner arranged at the last minute. Effort reflects prioritization. When someone prioritizes you, they think about your experience, not just their own convenience. Low effort often hides behind excuses. I'm just busy. I'm not good at texting. I'm bad at planning. While everyone has limitations, consistent lack of effort reveals something deeper: lack of motivation. People find time and energy for what excites them. When interest is strong, effort naturally increases. You rarely have to beg for it. Effort also creates emotional momentum. When he consistently initiates, plans, follows up, and checks in, it builds a feeling of progression. The connection moves forward instead of staying stuck in ambiguity. You feel chosen rather than optional. That emotional clarity reduces anxiety and strengthens trust. There's also a psychological truth behind effort. The more someone invests, the more they value what they're investing in. When he puts time and energy into building something with you, he becomes more attached to the outcome. Effort deepens emotional commitment because it reinforces the idea that the relationship matters. This is why you should pay close attention not to how intense he feels in one moment, but to how steadily he shows up over time. Does he initiate without being prompted? Does he make concrete plans instead of leaving everything open-ended? Does he follow through without reminders? These behaviors are measurable. They are observable. When a man truly likes you, you won't feel like you're pulling him forward. You won't feel like you're persuading him to care. His effort will meet you naturally. And that natural reciprocity is one of the strongest signs that his interest is real, intentional, and growing. Emotional availability is one of the strongest indicators of genuine interest, yet it is often overlooked because it develops more quietly than chemistry or attraction. When a man is emotionally available, he is not just physically present, he is mentally and emotionally engaged. He allows you to see beyond the surface. And that willingness to open up is not accidental, it reflects trust and intention. Many men can enjoy someone's company without ever letting their guard down. They can flirt, laugh, and spend time together while still keeping their deeper thoughts and feelings private. But when a man is truly into you, he begins to lower that emotional barrier. He shares stories about his past. He talks about his fears, his ambitions, his disappointments. He lets you see what shaped him. Vulnerability is not something most people offer casually. It is reserved for those they feel safe with and genuinely connected to. Emotional availability also shows up in how he responds to your feelings. When you share something important, he doesn't dismiss it or change the subject. He listens. He asks questions. He tries to understand your perspective rather than immediately defending his own. That engagement signals that he values your inner world, not just your presence in his life. Another powerful sign of emotional availability is consistency in communication during difficult moments. It's easy to be present when everything is light and fun. It's much harder to stay connected when there's tension, stress, or misunderstanding. A man who is emotionally invested doesn't disappear when things feel uncomfortable. He leans in. He wants to resolve, not avoid. That desire to work through discomfort is a strong indicator that he sees long-term potential. Inclusion is another key factor. When he talks about his daily experiences, his work challenges, his family dynamics, or his personal goals, he is integrating you into his world. He doesn't compartmentalize you as just someone he spends time with on weekends. He wants you to understand his life because he sees you becoming part of it. Emotional availability also means he expresses how he feels about you in a grounded way, not exaggerated promises, not overwhelming intensity, but clear, steady communication. He tells you he enjoys spending time with you. He tells you he appreciates certain qualities about you. These statements may seem simple, but they require emotional awareness and courage. When a man is not emotionally available, you often feel like you're guessing. Conversations stay surface level. Important topics get avoided. Plans remain uncertain. But when he is truly into you, clarity replaces confusion. His openness creates emotional security. Attraction can draw someone toward you, but emotional availability determines whether they can build something meaningful with you. When he consistently shares, listens, includes, and engages, even when it's uncomfortable, it shows he's not just interested in the experience of you. He's interested in the connection with you. Protective investment is not about control, jealousy, or possessiveness. It is about care. When a man is genuinely into you, he becomes naturally attentive to your comfort, safety, and overall well-being. This instinct doesn't come from insecurity, it comes from emotional attachment. When someone matters to us, we want to protect what matters. This kind of protection shows up in subtle but meaningful ways. He makes sure you get home safely. He checks in after an important event. If you're overwhelmed, he looks for ways to reduce your stress instead of adding to it. These actions aren't dramatic displays. They are quiet demonstrations of responsibility. He feels invested in how you experience the world. Protective investment also appears in how he handles situations involving other people. He doesn't put you in uncomfortable positions for his own amusement. He doesn't allow disrespect toward you to go unchecked. That doesn't mean he creates conflict, but he makes it clear through tone and behavior that you deserve respect. When a man values you, he is mindful of how others treat you because your dignity reflects something important to him. Another layer of protective investment is emotional protection. He becomes careful with your feelings, not in a fragile way, but in a considerate way. He thinks before he speaks. He avoids unnecessary games. He doesn't intentionally create jealousy to test your reaction. When someone is serious about you, they don't want to risk damaging the connection through reckless behavior. They protect it. It's important to distinguish this from possessiveness. Possessiveness seeks control. Protective investment seeks stability. A possessive person limits your freedom and isolates you. A protective partner supports your independence while making sure you feel secure. The difference is rooted in respect. When he truly likes you, he wants you to thrive, not shrink. Protective investment also shows up in long-term thinking. He encourages your goals. He supports your growth. If you're working towards something meaningful, he doesn't compete with it or feel threatened. He understands that your success strengthens the partnership rather than weakens it. Supporting your ambitions is a form of protection because he is helping safeguard your future. There's also a shift in prioritization. When something affects you, it starts to matter to him. If you're stressed, he notices. If you're excited about something, he engages. Your emotional state begins to influence his decisions because he feels connected to it. That shared emotional space is a sign of deepening attachment. When a man is not invested, your comfort is secondary. Your safety is your responsibility alone. Your feelings are something he reacts to only when convenient. But when he is genuinely into you, there is a visible shift. he becomes attentive, proactive, and considerate. Protective investment is ultimately about responsibility. He feels responsible not for controlling you, but for contributing positively to your life. And when someone begins to take that responsibility seriously, it's a strong sign that his feelings are real and growing. Future-oriented behavior is one of the clearest signs that a man sees you as more than a temporary experience. When someone is only interested in the present, their focus stays on immediate gratification. What's fun now? What's convenient now? What feels good in the moment? But when a man begins thinking long-term, his language and actions subtly shift. He starts positioning you in his future, even in small ways. This doesn't always begin with dramatic conversations about marriage or lifelong commitment. In fact, it often starts quietly. He talks about an event happening months from now and assumes you'll be there. He mentions a trip he'd like to take with you. He includes you when discussing goals, holidays, or even simple plans weeks ahead. These moments might seem casual, but psychologically they are significant. He is mentally integrating you into his timeline. Future-oriented behavior also shows up in planning consistency. Instead of leaving things open-ended, he secures time with you in advance. He doesn't operate on last-minute availability alone. Planning ahead signals stability. It shows he expects continuity. When someone assumes you'll still be around, it reflects confidence in the connection. Another important aspect is alignment conversations. A man who sees long-term potential becomes curious about compatibility. He asks deeper questions about your values, your ambitions, your vision for life. He wants to understand whether your paths align. This isn't interrogation, it's investment. He's evaluating not just attraction, but sustainability. Future orientation also influences decision-making. He becomes more mindful about choices that could affect the relationship. For example, if he's considering a major life change, career move, relocation, big commitment, he includes you in the conversation. Even if the decision is ultimately his, the act of involving you shows that your presence matters in his long-term equation. There's also emotional reassurance in future-oriented language. When he says next month we should, or when we do this someday, he communicates stability without needing dramatic promises. It creates a sense of forward motion. You don't feel stuck in a cycle of uncertainty. Instead, the relationship feels like it's progressing naturally. In contrast, someone who avoids future references often keeps things deliberately vague. Plans stay short-term. Conversations about long-term vision are brushed aside. There's a hesitancy to commit even to small future moments. That hesitation can signal uncertainty or lack of deeper intent. Future-oriented behavior is powerful because it reflects intention. It shows that he is not just enjoying you in isolation from the rest of his life, he is weaving you into it. When a man begins to imagine experiences, milestones, and growth with you beside him, it means he's not thinking about an exit. He's thinking about expansion. And when you notice that his words, plans, and decisions consistently include you in what's ahead, you're not just part of his present. You're part of his vision. At the end of the day, attraction should not feel confusing. It should not leave you constantly decoding mixed signals or surviving on moments of intensity. When a man is truly into you, his behavior creates clarity. Not perfection, not fairy tale drama, but steady, grounded clarity. Consistency replaces hot and cold patterns. Effort removes the need to chase. Emotional availability deepens connection beyond surface-level chemistry. Protective investment shows that your well-being matters to him. And future-oriented behavior reveals that he's not just enjoying the moment, he's envisioning what's next with you in it. When all of these patterns align, you feel secure rather than anxious. You feel chosen rather than optional. You feel valued rather than tolerated. That emotional shift is powerful because real interest doesn't create chaos, it creates confidence. So instead of asking, does he like me? Start asking, do his actions consistently demonstrate investment? Words can impress you. Chemistry can excite you. But patterns tell the truth. And when you learn to read those patterns, you stop settling for temporary attention and start recognizing genuine intention.